Welcome back to the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45. We got Luis Ortega and Cheetah in the building. What's going on, fellas? How we doing tonight?
What's good? What's good?
What's happening, bro?
Man, it's racing in Aragon, man. I have to say it's one of my favorite tracks to watch the race. I haven't been there, so I can't. I don't know what it's like. What are your guys' thoughts on the weekend? And I will start with because this is going to be I think we're going to be talking about this for a little bit tonight. You know, Marc Marquez, the fastest guy all weekend. Every round, every time he got on the bike, he was the fastest guy. Is this where team owners just reverse their trucks and go home for the rest of the season?
I mean, bro, it was there's a stat that he was like the first guy to lead all GP sessions since 2015, and the last guy that led it was him. Again, back in Sachsenring. So it's an insane feat to accomplish. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot to get into, but he was untouchable. He was untouchable to say the least. You know, no one could really mess with him. Even when he started off the race, I mean, he falls back to fourth. It's not even a sweat. You know, he knows exactly where he needs to be and where he can be if he snaps his finger and just gets ahead. So, yeah, I mean, everyone else was pretty much racing for a second at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Luis, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, we said it last week. I mean, there's a home. You always get that home track bounce, but when he already has a home track bounce almost anywhere he goes. Now he's got a double home track bounce. And, it seemed from the time he got there Thursday, he already had a spring in his step. He was doing interviews. He was walking around with a big smile on his face. He was just, like the guy went in there super relaxed, super calm. And that's the last thing you want to see is the guy at the top of the hill coming in that relaxed and that calm, because that's just going to, that pretty much signals a long weekend for everybody else. Right. And then once he got on the bike and once he got on the track, I mean, he pretty much laid it down and he said, by the way, thanks for showing up, everybody. Let me know what the back of my bike looks like.
Yeah, what's interesting, because he's had a few crashes and missteps, but he feels like Coda was the one that got away when you hear him in the interviews and stuff like that, and his memories and stuff like that, as far as where he could have been in the championship. Cheetah, do you think that this is the Marquez we're going to see for the rest of the season versus the one we saw where he was pushing in places he probably didn't need to push?
Yeah, man. I said it in the beginning when he first started the season. It's just like he's calm, he's relaxed, and he's got nothing to lose because he's not going after a championship. That's what he said. If it comes, it comes. And that's a scary mark to behold, because he's going to be calm, relaxed, but yet still have that edge on everyone and still be so playful and relaxed to have the mental games and the edge on you. So if he's that relaxed and that calm and still being able to do this, I don't see why he would start suddenly getting pushed unless Alex really starts turning it up now. That's the only guy I can see in sight.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Luis? Alex is the only guy that can touch Mark. I mean, I might add a few more names in there, but let's see what you say.
I mean, I think he's the only one right now within striking distance of Mark. Like, he's only one race away from being back in front, 21 points. Mark throws it down the road. Alex gets a win, and all of a sudden he's up by 4 points. So he's the only one that's in striking distance. As far as like real competition, I don't really see any real competition other than Alex. There's going to be guys that are going to be battling, I think, more for third. I think first and second in the championship are kind of going to go split between the Marquezes. Where they land, we'll see at the end of the year. Third is what everybody else is pretty much fighting for now, unless there's a catastrophic injury or something else that happens. I mean, the two Marquez brothers just seem like they're one step ahead of everybody else at every track. And that's the big difference is there's some people that are great at few tracks and there's some people that are great at other tracks, but then the Marquez brothers show up every weekend and at every track, they're right at the front of the pack.
I agree with you. I will throw one name in there, and he's our friend Frankie. Frankie's the closest. He did a 145 in qualifying, and the Marquez brothers were the only other two to get in the 145s. Bagnaia did a
wait. Are we talking about qualifying or are we talking about the race?
Qualifying.
He's talking about annoying me for not being consistent. That's what he's talking about. Because as soon as I got Frankie's back, my man just Folds.
Yeah, no, man. There is one other guy, and who's a close third, I would say. That's a more promising name right now than Pecco.
And go ahead.
Aldeguer.
Okay.
I think he's there. I think he's getting his groove right now as a GP rider. And halfway through the season, man, he's looking like he's the third Marquez brother. He's sitting in that car and he's like, "What's going on, brothers?" And he's sitting in the middle of these. He's the tallest guy. He's like the big goofy brother, and he's learning all the secrets and joking around with these brothers. He's vibing with them more than Pecco is.
Okay. All right. Do you agree with that? Do you think Luis Aldeguer is the guy versus Frankie? Because, I mean, Frankie's faster in qualifying. And, I mean, in the sprint, Frankie didn't beat out Aldeguer, but he did in the main race. So, I mean, you know, it's very close. And I'll add something because another question is, you know, with that, VR46 versus Grassini. I assume Rossi would have thought that they would be in front of Grassini. So, you know, Aldeguer is he the dark horse? I mean, because you know, Ayagura we thought was going to be the one to run away with Rookie of the Year, but now he's definitely showing some real potential on that Ducati.
I think Aldeguer is going to be that. I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year, just because his consistency level is higher than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Where we get some other rookies that might have a good weekend, bad weekend, so forth and so on. Like Aldeguer started low and has just slowly increased in his quality as races have gone by. And his racecraft is getting better. Like now he's starting to dice it up with guys that have been here in the races for a while. He's already gotten on the podium a couple of times. So now once you're on the podium once, man, and you taste that Prosecco, you want more Prosecco. And the big thing that's in his corner is the two Marquez brothers. Like he's on a great team. He's got a great teammate. And his teammate and his teammate's brother are the two top guys. They're both Spaniards, and they're both Spaniards that work with him on a regular basis. So he gets to learn from two guys that are the fastest guys in the paddock how to be better at what he's doing. He gets to look at their data. They get to discuss what's going on. And the one thing that he doesn't have, he has no pressure on him.
Right.
Nobody expects anything of him. So the fact that he can go the entire race without the pressure, and hey, if I get a fifth, that's 15 positions better than I'm supposed to get. I'm a rookie. If I get a third, that's better than anybody thought I was going to get. So the guy is young and he has nothing on, no pressure on his shoulders. He's got a contract guaranteed already.
Right.
And now he's just got to go out there, learn how to ride and race. And this weekend, to be honest with you, I think he made a little bit of a gamble on the tire choice. It helped him, but you know, I think it also might have hurt him in some areas. But for him to battle with Frankie at the end, and really was the highlight of the race, is those two guys battling more than anything else. It just shows like the kid's there to compete. The kid's there to ride. He's not scared of anybody. And if he's got to rub paint with you, he'll rub paint with you. And I would be scared of racing against a rookie that has got nothing to lose. If I'm Frankie Morbidelli, because I got a lot to lose, man. I'm not on a really long contract here.
Right.
So I got to outride him. And if I lose to him, it looks even worse, man. I'm losing to a rookie on the same bike.
Yeah. And we saw that with Acosta last year at the beginning of the season when he was on his run. And I don't know if Aldeguer is going to have the same run because they kind of leave the bike alone and let him just ride. And once they start playing with the bike, you see some of these rookies start to struggle. I know you got the Spaniards on one side, but Morbidelli, Bezzecchi, and I'll still throw Bagnai in there because, you know, he got the third place on the podium in the main race. These are still guys that can be a spoiler besides Aldeguer for the Marquez brothers.
Yeah.
No, I think the only one that's really in striking distance, I mean, Bagnai is still there. He's only 93 points. It's a pretty funny number to be behind number 93 points. I am more impressed with Morbidelli only because I kind of thought Di Giannantonio would be the better rider of the two riders on the Ducati.
Right.
And Morbidelli has really stepped up and taken the role of the lead rider on that team, which is great for him because, you know, he's trying to secure himself a little bit of a longer tenure on that bike, which is amazing.
Because I think
he's on a 1 year, but from what I understand.
Right, but is Di Giannantonio's year up this year? Because Di Giannantonio had a 2 year last year and this year, I believe.
I think they re-upped him last year.
Digi's at risk, I think.
I think Digi's at risk for this year because I think the year before he got saved because this is third year on I think on VR46, right? Not this is he's into. I think
This is his third year.
Yeah, so I think he got the 2 year. He's on a 25 bike. I mean, he got hurt at the beginning of the season, so I'll give him a little.
No, he's signed through 2026.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
he is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Morbidelli is definitely at risk, and Morbidelli's riding well. And I know he got I know he suffered for a bit leaving Honda, then getting hurt. I mean Yamaha, then getting hurt, and then struggling last year, and then just making bad mistakes. Throughout the season last year and some this year. I think if you look at his riding versus the antics of the penalties he's getting for just zoning out on in qualifying or practice sessions, not even in the race.
Looking up into the stands and being on the race line and hindering other people. Yeah, he's done some pretty stupid things.
So I feel like he would be further up. But yeah, Aldeguer is the dark horse in that, and we'll see. The overall weekend though was pretty good because we saw other manufacturers being more competitive. KTM, and I don't know if it's a European thing, and I'll go with Cheetah in this. I was here Reese is coming in, so we'll get Reese's opinion as well. But like the non-European tracks, when we see these bikes struggle, and then we go to Aragon, and it seems like all the manufacturers had at least one or two riders that were competitive. Is it really just the track layout or that's causing these bikes to slow, or is just people are just closer to home so they feel better about themselves? What are your thoughts, Cheetah? Why some KTM, Honda, and some of these manufacturers struggle at some tracks, but not all tracks. And Ducati seems to be able to run at all tracks, or Marquez seems to be able to run at all tracks.
I mean, Ducati just seems to have that edge from day one. We know that coming in from even last year. That's why Mark went to that bike. We all know why he chose that going from Honda. He could have chose any bike. So they clearly have a big gap that every other manufacturer is trying to recover. But KTM did do very well this weekend. And I think, as we saw, I mean, if you guys have been keeping up with these pictures they've been posting, every rider they're putting on a different test, a tail, a front winglet, a this winglet, or that winglet, and they keep trying different things. So I think it may be just a mixture of the rider getting in tune with the bike and the setups they're trying out. I think they're just coming to a good situation. And maybe that's what's going on is my guess. But it may just have been the track too. They may have just excelled at this track.
Got you. Lewis, what are your thoughts on that?
We'll wait and see. I mean, again, I think it might be the track benefits some of the strengths of the KTM. So we'll see if this is something that they found a setup that works, or if they found a setup that works for this weekend. I mean, we did have a bunch of KTMs up front, but other than Acosta, I mean, Binder did what Binder did. And Vinales did what Vinales does. He, in the middle of the race and the end of the race, he was the fastest guy, but he was 18 spots behind or whatever it was. Like, it's a great time to find your pace. 13 laps into a 20-lap race is the perfect time to find your race pace. Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know if it's a setup or what. Acosta, after the race, was Spanish media interviewed him, and supposedly he was very upset because he spent a lot of time behind Ducatis and seeing where the KTM was weak. And even though he says that they feel they made one step, they're still several steps behind what they can do with the Ducati. And really quick, the M's are the ones that are in danger this year. So if your last name ends or starts with the letter M, you might be fucked. Marini, Morbidelli, and Miller are all on one-year contracts that end this year. So Martin is the only one that is safe, and he's quitting his contract. So all the M's is like, I'm out.
What's going on, Reese, man? How's it going?
What's going on, man?
No, man, just, talking MotoGP. What are your thoughts? I don't know if you caught part of what I was saying. What are your thoughts on manufacturers that, do well over in Europe, or seems to be doing better in Europe versus when they're outside of Europe? racing? Is it the air? Is it the food? Is it just the layout of the track that just is better or worse? I guess how do riders blame when bikes when they're not riding well at certain tracks?
I mean, I think it's just track condition. I mean, it's the same thing here. I mean, there are certain tracks we're better at. There's certain tracks anybody else is better at. It's just coming down to track condition. What suits that bike better. That's all on their setup. I believe. I mean, that's all it is.
So it doesn't matter on the geographic location. It's just the, if it's
I don't think
the
so.
track and
I don't think so. I think it's just literally. I think it's just a track condition, like the way the track layout is, the setup is. It may benefit one brand to another. I mean, that's because everybody's chassis is different. Their angles are, everything is different. So it just may benefit one. It's like, KTM chassis may work better on this track versus, Mugello.
Right. But they all seem to work fairly well. I mean, Mia was competitive for a little bit in practice and stuff like that. Quartararo competitive. As you heard Lewis say, Bender competitive as well. Vinales, Bezzecchi. There's only a few guys that seem to can be in the back of the pack and fight their way through and still have tire life. Where I think if Morbidelli had to fight through like Bezzecchi did, he wouldn't have any tires at the end, or Miller wouldn't have any tires.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that is technically true. I mean, like Lewis said, Bender does what he does best, bend the hell out of it. Vinales, don't know where he's at, and Morbidelli is hit or miss, and he actually was very well this round, so it's just like a hit or miss with these tracks, man. That's all. I think come Mugello, come the next round, I think it's gonna be a whole different story. Being honest with you, I think it'll be a whole nother story on what manufacturers we see up there.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna ask that towards the end and hear your thoughts on that. Do you think? And I'll throw this out to all three guys. Bagnaia in post press conference, saying they made a little change to the bike. And he's able to run with these guys. Is Ducati doing this deliberately? I mean, like they're trying to negotiate, money with him and making his bike slower, because it seems like it's just like, on Saturday you're finishing 12th or something like that, and on Sunday you're third. I mean, and Reese may be able to talk to this more a little bit. To have that much of a change difference on the bike and have that kind of result. I mean, is it something they overlook by saying, not trying a bigger disc brake? It seems like that's the issue that allowed him to maybe, I think, brake later so he could save time. Is it just a mishap? What do you guys think about that? What Bagnaia said about, they just change the rotors and he got speed.
No. I can tell you exactly what it is.
Negatory.
We'll let Cheetah talk and then we go through, because I'm curious.
I mean, and then you got Mark saying that he's on the same bike as Alex and Aldeguer, adding to more fuel to the fire, confusing the heck out of Pecco. So it's just like more mind games on top of what's really going on. I think Pecco's in his head. In the sprint, him falling back to 12th. I mean, he's got opportunity to test every single setup he could, I feel like. And I don't know if they're really cheating him out of that. That's crazy. It's some conspiracy now, Rex. Come on now.
I'm being silly.
Conspiracy. What if that is the case, though? I'm kind of into it, man.
Here's that washer you're missing, and now you can go fix it.
No. You had me for a second, man. Speak more on it if you got something there. But I think he's really in his head, man, and they want to see the guy win. I mean, if anything, the fact that he's Italian and the other Spanish fighter, if anything, right? And then, if anything, to elevate the brand even more, right? They would want to see two competitive back and forth, 1 and 2 fighting each other off. I think he's in his head, man. I'll just leave it at that. And the reason being is because, I mean, the next day they changed the setup. That's an easy thing to say. That's an easy thing to say when things are going right. And when things are going bad, why don't you just keep your mouth shut? You know what I'm saying? Just let the next week come.
Lewis.
Yeah, same man. I don't think he should speak very much. The less he speaks, the better it is for him at this point. Because every time he speaks, he just makes it worse for himself. He just doesn't say the right things at the right time. He paints himself into a corner, and it just makes people want to cheer for him less. Like every time I see him now, like I constantly think of two things. He used to ask for the other bikes to get slower, and I'm not here to race third and fourth. And you guys know that.
Yeah.
And now where does he finish? Third, fourth, or worst?
He needs to take a page out of Morbidelli's book. When Morbidelli's asked the question, he answers. He never answers the question.
No, he's like, no, the weather today is great. I'm happy to be. Like, he doesn't answer anything about the question. No. What time is it? I love blue. like nothing about racing.
No, he's so cool about it. What are your thoughts, Reese, on that? I mean, it's a big difference between the sprint and the main race and where he finished.
Lewis can contest to this and can probably agree. Riders are their worst enemy because every rider swears they're a damn technician. They swear up and down they are a tech, and I guarantee you, more like everyone says, Morbidelli's in it. I mean, not Morbidelli. Pekka's in his head. He comes back in and says, "This is worse. This is bad. This is this. Well, maybe if we change this and this," telling the mechanics what to do, and they're listening to his dumb behind. They're changing it, and it just makes the shit worse. It just makes it worse. Like, he just needs to just shut up and ride the bike.
Yep.
I mean, he's his own worst enemy.
Because remember, they all share the same data, so there's no partition wall. So they all, all the techs, everybody knows what Mark is running. They know the parts what Mark's is running. They know what Aldeguer is running. They know what Alex is running. They know what the VR46 team is running. They know what everybody's doing.
Right.
The VR46, you got one guy that seems to be a little bit more consistent than the other. That's, that could be field, that could be, whatever it is. Maybe one has a slightly different setup and it works better on this one guy and this other guy doesn't have it. But, Alex Marquez is faster than you. He's on a satellite bike. Last year, Martin was faster than you. He's on a satellite bike. And it's not like they're getting different parts. Everybody gets the same parts. Like, Grassini team's not out there milling their own parts right now. Right. Like, I paid Ducati this much money to rent this bike with a contract that they're going to give me these parts. So at this point, it's him more than anything else. Like, he's just got to buckle down. And you know what? Maybe at the Italian round, he'll do better, or maybe not. Maybe this is what he is. This is what he's always been. And he never had real competition. He had one guy that was competing against him, and the two guys ran away with the championship. And now this year, he's got two guys on the same equipment that are outriding him. And he is what he is, dude. He's riding for third and fourth.
I can agree.
Season.
Might be riding for fifth soon.
Nah, you say it's a long season, but that season ticking down,
go
man.
By fast.
we're not even halfway through yet.
Remember you said that today. You're gonna say we're not halfway through, and then you're gonna turn around. Hey, we halfway through. We on summer break.
Rex, you're the same guy.
On which episode are you gonna be waving that white flag?
Rex is the same guy that keeps saying Bagnaia has more points than he had at this point last year.
I stopped saying that after this.
You stopped saying that, okay? But you were saying that for a long time.
It was true up until he crashed out the last couple of rounds.
And you know what he's missing? He's missing about 5 or 6 more of his throw it down the road crashes. Yeah. So if those
they're
come
coming,
along,
they're coming.
He could be down 100 points like that.
They're coming.
I'll say this: Mugello is one of his better tracks. So he has a chance of podiuming there if he gets his shit together. And if he feels good from this setup, and that's the same setup he's going to take there, and it works, he has a real good shot. I mean, whatever we saw in that race I was not expecting that. I'll tell you all that. Like that. So given his trajectory and where he was going in the sprint, I was like, man, this guy he's washed up already. God. So yeah, I mean, if he can keep it up, there's a shot. But man, come on, man. Pecco, you got to get it together.
Yeah, I mean, the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while,
I mean, he got lucky at Coda. Marquez threw it down the road. He took advantage of it.
Yeah. There's certain times he's got lucky, but he would have still been up there. You got to be in a good position to win by luck. Right. You already have to be in third, second.
But then, you could look at Le Mans, and he had the right setup, and just bad luck. Which again, that gives I go back to me saying he has a long season. But yes, once he ran out of points, I'm gonna say it's a wrap at that point, because you
say it now.
You have to believe that. You have to believe that, Reese.
If it gets to 150 point deficit, when it hits 150, it's a wrap. Because now you need Marquez to have at least 7 or 8 crashes, and you need to win 7 or 8 races.
Right.
So once you get to about 150 points, it's a wrap.
And he came back from 90.
My question is this. I know you heard Marquez.
Not against 2 guys. He came back against 1 guy who was folding faster than he was folding.
Right. And did you hear what Marquez said last race? Right. In his interview.
He said a lot.
He said he was feeling great on the bike, and he doesn't have to override the bike where he feel like he's going to be on top of his head.
Yeah.
So if he's doing that and walking around smiling, laughing, and joking and everything else, that's a dangerous sign. So I doubt he's going to throw that bike down anytime soon.
No, I agree with you, and it's something we spoke about. Like, when is he going to figure that out? So I'm happy that Marquez is figuring that out.
And even if he's not, he's saying he is, so that he could fuck with Bagnaia.
Even if he's not,
he could be having the worst weekend, still have great results, and instead of saying, "Oh man, I could do better,"
he's the guy.
The bike is great. There's nothing wrong with it.
Bro, he's literally on the beach right now. He's built the biggest sandcastle. The wave washes it off this thing, and he's smiling like, "What a beautiful wave! Wow, these waves are awesome." Heckle's crying because he can't even get the castle built right now. So
this is the mind games part of the season. And every time he goes on the mic, even if it's not great, he's always positive. Because you know what? Every time that I say, "Hey, I had a great weekend, the bike worked great," and then my teammate is finishing in 14th place in an 8-lap race because he can't get it together, like, that's just jab.
It's a long season, and I'm rooting for a few people. So if Pecco doesn't make it, there's still Morbidelli. And Morbidelli.
Good luck with Morbidelli.
I know. Listen, man, it's
Frankie.
We were talking off before I move on to some of the other stuff. We were talking off here. And I'll pose this to all you guys. Where MotoGP is, the competitive level, because we saw the fight in between Morbidelli and Acosta. We saw the fight in between Morbidelli and Aldeguer. We saw a fight in between Morbidelli and Mark at the UK round. And Moto2 finish. Like, listen, if Dennis Unchu did not win that race, he would have killed himself. Mm-hmm. Like this, like that photo finish race in Moto2. So my question is MotoGP at the level where it's just so exciting today? Like, is it the most exciting it has been since Rossi and Marquez, or Rossi and Lorenzo, or thing? Because there's a lot of rubbing and riding that we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, no, I think for sure it is. I think the only thing you can add in the mix even more to make it more fun is just more trash talking at the press conference between each other. Like, if Marquez and Pecco were really close to each other at the current moment, neck and neck, and they had one little clash. We were all saying this before the season started. We were like, man, this is going to be like Rossi and Mark is how Pecco and Mark are going to be, because they're on the same team. Remember we were all saying that? Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all forgot. Yep. And that's not even the case anymore, right? Because Pecco's so far back. So we're missing a little bit of the trash talk. The brothers are on the podium, but it is the most exciting season, I think, coming off, especially last year, the last couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years, there's been exciting races that were exciting because there's certain tracks that are just built to bring excitement. Like, nobody really breaks away. There's certain packs that stay within a half a second of each other, things like that. Aragon has a few places that make it exciting because you can close up on somebody, you can catch them on the last double chicane before the long straight. There's certain places at Aragon that can kind of build that excitement.
Right.
It's a very well built track for speed, but also to some areas it slows it down enough where you can do an inside pass and run wide, and the other guy cuts it on the inside. And now, if you can get yours turned in, you can still be on the inside for the next one. So they got to go around the outside. So there's a few places there that just make this track exciting. There's other tracks that seem a little bit narrower with less passing opportunities, and people just really pass on the brakes in those. And those are the tracks that are a little bit boring. So it's a combination of, and the other thing is at this track, we had more manufacturers able to compete with each other,
right,
which I think is what really raises the level of the sport. When you have multiple manufacturers all able to compete each other, like I could care less if two Ducatis are going at it. Well, which Ducati is going to be the faster one, the red one or the yellow one? Like, but if it's a Ducati, a KTM, and like a Yamaha, and they're all trying to battle and outbreak each other and pass each other, now the excitement level is a little higher because there's different equipment involved. The equipment works slightly differently. Some of them are better on the edge grip. Some of them are faster coming out of the corners. Some of them have better top speed. Some of them have better braking. So now you got to take advantage of what's best on your bike. Like that's when I get a smile on my face, man. When I see like a Ducati and a KTM and a Honda or Yamaha battling it out, that like I don't care if they're in 10th place. As long as they're battling every corner to corner, I love it. So this year, that's what I kind of like, is that we've gotten away from just the Ducati dominance, and at a few different tracks, like certain bikes have kind of shown up. I was actually sad this weekend that Yamaha didn't do well, but I didn't expect much from Yamaha because that back straightaway the Yamaha might as well throw an anchor out right before it starts the back straightaway. It loses like 5 or 6 spots just coming off the corner, and by the time it gets in the straightaway, that could be stretched out to like 8. So now they got to brake super late, carry more corner speed to try to close that up to like 3. And then they come on a sprint straight away and they lose 2 more. And it's just like, a spring effect. Every time they close in, springs back out.
right.
Springs back out. So
That was Yamaha and Honda. We saw that with Mir. Felt bad for Mir.
Oh man. If Mir had a stick, he would be sticking it in other people's front rims because it's just like, God damn it. I know my bike's not that great, but I know I'm better than you.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything with what I have. But even Honda Mir doing what he did was great, man, to see him up there in the top 10.
It was.
Yeah. I agree. I think and I've said this on, I think Mir, I think Rins, I think Morbidelli, and I think about these riders when they were in Moto 2 and all these other guys that are in MotoGP were in Moto 2 too, and you saw the difference in skill level between those guys coming in to MotoGP versus the younger guys. And so to be on, I don't want to say inferior machines, but it's not their skill set that's keeping them slow. It's definitely, if they were all on the same bike, we would be seeing completely something different. But Reese, what were your thoughts on where MotoGP is now, the excitement level, all this rubbing and riding that we're seeing or racing?
I mean, I agree with Lewis. I mean, I think it's exciting. You see different manufacturers up there battling each other. It's not where it's 5, 6 Ducatis all in one bunch, and it's like, okay, like you said, which one is going to win? So it's all different ones. I mean, so that's, to me, I think that's the more exciting part. When they were back there with, different manufacturers checking it out, watching and battling, and that's the more exciting part of this. I think we're actually at an exciting point. Each manufacturer is taking another step and growing and getting to that, back to the top step, trying to get back there. They're closing the gap, not fast enough, but they're closing the gap to get back up to that top step, like the 2 Japanese brands. So hopefully this upcoming, they said on the test that they tested a new spec motor for Yamaha. So hopefully they said they should be ready for it for Mugello. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they can actually run it in Mugello and maybe they can be back up there, at least battling for the top 5 spot, and see what they can do to make it even more exciting to have another brand up there and not just, 2 brands or 1 brand up there.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see. Let me ask this, because looking at like what Zarco has been doing, coming through the pack and moving up, we see what Bezzecchi's been doing. Marquez has been able to do this. Bastianini, Aldeguer. How come some riders can manage their tires well enough to overtake, 5-6 riders, start and finish in 7th or 8th. I know there's some crashes in between that and stuff like that. How come we don't see more riders being able to do that? Is it just setup of the bike and just how they feel that day? Because certain riders can be consistent in starting in the back of the pack and getting up 5, 6, 10 positions, 12 positions by the end of the race.
Some are just calm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just the beauty of the sport, right? Like that's what it takes, so many variables to make just one thing happen. And that's what the beauty of it is. It's like these machineries may be different. You put Mark on all these different bikes, he's gonna have a different result on different lap time on and a different feeling, and probably gonna have to ride the bike in a different mannerism versus entering versus exiting the track or mid corner mannerisms. He's gonna have to change that. And he's talked about that actually, just riding from last year's bike to this bike. He's had to change his mannerisms. He's just been able to adapt. And that's one thing Mark's been more open about. So just hearing the GOAT talk about it like that, you got to expect, like, some of these guys can't do that. Some of these guys can't get that extra bit of feeling, or maybe they just don't have the setup, but they'll never know because it's so many variables that go into it that we'll just chalk it up to the best rider and the best day on the best machinery, but a lot of times it is just managing it. And that's that extra feel that they don't have.
Yeah, this is where a lot of laps of practice come in, because again, it's a lot of things have to come together. Some guys like to set up their bikes for when the tire drops. And the only way to get to know what the tire drops is you got to go ride the bike until the tire drops. And then you got to fix the setup to work when the tire drops. Other people like to set up the bike for when the tire's fresh, so they can be super strong in the beginning and then manage the drop. Others might be a little bit weaker in the front, but when the tire drops and everybody else's tires drop, they get stronger because the bike's set up. So it's a combination of the rider, his skill set, how the mechanics understand what the rider feels, his ability to tell the team, I want to be strong at this point in the race. Mark broke the lap record on lap 20 something.
Yeah, 21 or 20 or something ridiculous.
Something ridiculous. He broke it a couple of times. He broke it in the middle of the race. And then as the tire dropped down, he went faster. So this is a guy that either has balls of steel, or he kind of set the bike a little bit more for the end of the race.
Yeah.
He managed the front of the race. And as soon as the tire dropped and that setup came in, now he was able to even go faster. So again, it's a lot of variables. It's the rider, the bike, the setup, picking the right tires. I mean, this is why when these riders go up on the podium, they always say the team did a great job this weekend, because it's a team effort. Because like Reese said, I hate to say it, racers don't know shit about fixing bikes. Some of them don't even know how to tell you what's wrong with the bike. Oh, I got no front end feeling. All right, I'm going to check something. And the mechanic goes over there and just goes like this. It's going to feel better now. Didn't even touch the bike. And then the guy goes out there. Yeah. Bike's super fast. Oh, that was way better than last time. The mechanic walks away like, this dumbass. Because they don't know. Reese, tell me that doesn't happen, bro. You know that happens.
Yo, that happens so many damn times. They be like, yeah, do this. And we don't touch shit. Yeah, it feels better. We ain't do shit. What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, oh, man, that was way better.
It happens all the time, more than you can imagine, man. And then you tell a rider, like, if you tell a rider, if the rider hears us talking and something's wrong, it's in their head, and they're just like, they get spooked. Oh, something's wrong. Oh no, it didn't feel. That had nothing to do with the ride, man. It's amazing.
Well, the time of day, how hot it is, that all plays a part. How the engine feels.
Yeah, to them, to us, and you're looking at data like it's the same bullshit you went on earlier on. It's the same shit. Like, what are you talking about? It felt good then, so why does it feel bad now? So, but yeah, to piggyback on what Lewis said, it's the setup, for when that tire drops. If you don't do lap after lap after lap and let the tire drop to see how it feels, you're not gonna know how it feels. I mean, it goes back to a couple years ago where Jorge Martin. He's all the way out front, has a big gap, and the next thing you know, right near the end, he's fading backwards.
Right.
Because he's still pushing. He's been pushing the whole entire time instead of being the smart one, which is same thing as Marquez. Marquez does it all of our smart riders here in the USA do it. Once you get a gap and you get, let's call it, 10 laps in, right? Now it's time for me to manage. I can see the gap. I'm like, okay, well, I got a 4-second gap. Let me manage that. Every time I come around, check it again. It's 4 seconds. Oh, damn, it's 3. Turn up a little bit. Back up to 4. Back it down. They don't do that. Their guys will just go balls to the wall, and by the time they realize it, my tire dropped. And they're not. You ask a rider, hey, how many times did you pay attention to that pit board coming by? Oh, shit, I ain't pay attention to it at all. No, what the fuck is it out there for? Like, we're telling you what's going on.
I can't see it. I'm going too fast.
Right, but you're in 4th place.
You got plenty of time to see it, man.
Yeah.
Like, the smart ones will tell you, they'll see the board and they'll manage that gap. They'll manage it. And that's all you have to do. And manage it. And once that couple laps, like where it's like 4 laps to go, fuck it, I'm out. And I got 4 laps to go if they're coming. Somebody's coming. Hey, turn it up. I got none. I'm in it now. We're 4 laps to go. I can waste the hell out of this tire. They don't do that. They'll just go.
Wow. It's interesting how some riders can adjust in real time and some just kind of are just full gas. And we see with Miller as well. And even I think Costa is one you'll see fall back. Morbidelli was falling back in the beginning, but I think he's doing a better job at managing his tire now and stuff. Has changed gears a little bit. Let's talk about Aprilia. Has Raul Fernandez done enough to save his seat for next year? I heard, Davide talk about, we're here to support the rider. We're trying to extract the best out of him and all this stuff. Is that just for media, but they're already looking for new riders? I mean, can this guy save his seat?
They had somebody testing today.
That's because Ayagura is out. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but they had the rookie testing.
It's just because Aragura is out. No.
I know Gonzalez from Moto2.
He was 2.3 seconds slower than Marquez's time. His first time on a MotoGP bike.
Yeah.
Might be a new rider at Trackhouse.
Listen. When that word, that little saying that he did, oh, yeah, we support that. Yeah, that's some bullshit. That's telling you, like, yeah, we support the new riders that are coming in and the old riders are going to go find a new seat. That's just an easy way of a letdown saying, yeah, he's going to be out. The new guy's coming in.
I mean, Fernandez has a contract through 2026.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that Trackhouse is already testing somebody, even it's supposed to only be a fill-in, like that might be a permanent fill-in. If I can get a young guy that, without the up, down, left, right cheat code that Guru used, if I can get him to be, 1.5 seconds slower than Marquez, I mean, it's the same that I got now.
He could have used the cheat code today, man. What are you talking about?
Maybe he did.
I heard he was already faster than Chantra, bro.
That's not at
the end of the day.
Jump.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's talk about Raul can save his seat, but also Gonzalez. That's a big deal what he's doing because he came from World Superbike and came over into Moto2 and he won World Superbike, a Super Sport title, and then came over and he's doing better than Moto2 riders that's been in there for 4 years, 5 years, and stuff like that. So, and he's leading. I think he's still leading the championship. At the moment in Moto2, if not, he's close in points. So Cheetah, what do you think? Can Raul save his seat? And what are your thoughts on what Gonzalez is doing for a guy that came from Super Sport and it looks like he's on his way to MotoGP, or at least tested the bike so far?
Yeah, no, I haven't kept up with Manu Gonzalez that much in this season. He's in Moto2 now. Yep. So, but like I haven't kept up with him. But the fact that they're already having someone else test it out just shows which direction they're always going. I mean, every manufacturer is going to keep new blood on the bench right there, ready to go, right? And I think that's exactly what they're doing. I think as far as his performance goes, Raul Fernandez did do decent. Top 10 finishes on both the races. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep like someone that's already performing really well on the testing side. If they got good enough data over there and they're feeling that this guy compared to the first time that Raul hopped on the bike is a way better trajectory of performance and potential, then why not keep the rookie on for next year? I'm sure they're thinking that. So I mean, I don't know. It's just all like what makes the most sense here.
I mean, it also might be Aprilia wanted to put him on a bike, not necessarily Trackhouse. So let's put him on this bike. Let's see what his potential is. Because remember, Aprilia has an open spot next year because a certain somebody said deuces to them.
Right. That's
so,
true.
I'm not going to give, like I said before, Aaron Canet is never going to see a MotoGP bike. But this other kid that's tied with Aaron Canet, who's already won a championship in Supersport and knows how to ride, already showed us that he can go, 2.5 seconds slower than the world championship on his first time on the bike. So you give him some time on the bike, he's going to narrow that down to 2, 1.5, 1. Who knows how far he can go? It's the first time he rode this bike.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably Aprilia that told Trackhouse, hey, let's get this guy on his bike. Let's give him some opportunities. Let's see what happens. Because right now he's leading the championship. He already has a race winning pedigree. He already has a championship pedigree. He might be a great opportunity for us next year to replace this other deadbeat that's leaving.
Reese, what are your thoughts, man? And I do want to focus what Gonzalez is doing because we are hearing and we're seeing what's going on in America as far as trying to get young kids on GP style chassis so they get a feel. And here's this guy that's could be going into GP. And he started out on a manufacturer OEM bike chassis before moving over into Moto 2 and stuff like that. So is Raul safe? And are we making too big a deal about the chassis?
No, the chassis is a big thing. I mean, the chassis are a complete different thing in GP. That's a whole different feel, a whole different ball game. I remember when one of our Americans went over there and Hayes and Garrett, and they were like, the chassis are completely different. So the chassis is one big thing, and then with Fernandez, Raul, is his seat safe? No, I think his seat is actually going to just timing getting ready to be up. I mean, he's had his opportunity as a young gun, and he's shown pretty much nothing. And this young gun that's coming in now, that's test riding and everything else, I'm like, they saying he's 2 seconds off. I mean, he's right there, never been on a bike, and he's right, not that far behind your world champion. So that may be something right there that's showing you that, hey, we got to get this kid in the seat because it's only time that's going to tick with the kid. And then he's getting older. He'll get older, and then time will pass. And you want somebody that's young and hungry that's going to be in that seat that's ready to go. When you don't, as you get older, you can. Some people will lose that hunger, will lose that fire. The young kids are hungry and like, I'm here. I want to make the money and I want to prove myself. Right. So that seat in Aprilia is open. So hey, let's get somebody in there to fill it.
Yeah, you mentioned the young guns and what's going on. Let's talk about Moto 2 a little bit because Dennis Unchu won the Moto 2 race by, I don't know, that much maybe.
Half a tire.
4,000 of a second, something like that.
4,000 of a second. Both two guys who have never won a race before. I believe this is Dennis's second year in Moto 2, first year for I forget his name off the top of my head. I should look it up. I want to get it right. That finished second, but you look at Viete, you look at Jake Dixon, you look at some of these guys that's been in Moto 2 now for 4, 5, 6 years. You look at Canet. We have some young guns that are stepping in, and we've been seeing that now since Acosta, really, because he's kind of been one of the first to kind of just start outshining these guys. I mean, is it just that these young guys are just more prepared and getting more prepared for Moto 2 than some of these senior guys? Because I mean, you look at Dennis Foggia going back to Moto 3, and he's struggling like he's a newbie, and he's been in MotoGP overall for at least 7 years. So what are your thoughts on the young guns in Moto 2 and how these younger riders, these rookies, second year guys are starting to outshine some of these seasoned guys in Moto 2?
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I didn't get a chance to even catch the race from Moto 2 this past weekend, but you guys are making it out to seem like it was super exciting. Very worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'll say like these younger guys, man, just in general, like overall, like they're gonna have a better. They have more knowledge, man. I feel like they have more. They've seen more of what these riders have done and what they've experienced. I feel like social media has done part of that. Like they're just getting a better eye on what riders are doing in general. Coming up as a kid, you know, Aldeguer. They had a picture of Aldeguer and Alex Marquez side by side in that picture, and look how young Aldeguer looks in that picture, right? Just right away, he's racing next to him and almost beating him, almost catching him. So, you know, I think it's just a combination of like these guys are seeing what it truly takes at a very young age, and they're seeing like what they need to do to get there. So I think my personal opinion, I think it's just that the younger kids are always going to have an edge with technology and the internet nowadays.
The double-edged sword in Moto 2 is you only have 3 years in Moto 2 to get out of Moto 2, 4 years max. Once you go over 3 or 4 years, you ain't never getting out of Moto 2, man. You Moto 2 for life. Because guess what? You just spent 4 of your years, possibly younger years, 18 to 22, and there's some 16-year-old that just beat you this weekend. If I'm a MotoGP team, why do I want a 23 or 24-year-old that's getting beat by 16 and 17-year-olds? I want that 16 or 17-year-old. Like, you've had your time to prove yourself. You've been in the same series for 3 or 4 years, sometimes 5 years. I mean, Canet, maybe 18 years. I mean, shit, I don't even know how long he's been there. I mean, when he started, he had no tattoos. Now he's pretty much blacked out. Like every year he adds a tattoo, and he's got tattoos up to his ears now. Like that's why I say guys like Canet, you know, guys like Jake Dixon, like once you get over a certain threshold of years in Moto 2, you either need to look for an out and go to World Superbike or something else, or decide, hey, you know, I'm Moto 2 for life. Because as a MotoGP team owner, team manager, I'm not looking at Canet. Canet and Gonzalez are tied for first place, right? Which guy you think I'm looking at? The guy's been in Moto 2 forever and hasn't been able to win a championship? Or this young gun that just came in from another series and is right up at the top of the hill? I'm looking at that guy. You know, Morea. He's 28 points behind Canet. Yeah. He hasn't been in Moto 2 that long.
Diego fast.
He fast. You know, he's fast against Aaron Canet, who's been riding the same or a similar bike for how long?
Right.
After that, you got Baltus.
Yeah.
I don't think this kid is shaved yet. He might not have hair on his balls. And he's in front of Jake Dixon. Like, who got long gray hairs on his balls at this point. He's been in Moto 2 so long. So again, man, you got 3 to 4 years to get out of Moto 2. If you're not out of Moto 2 in 3 or 4 years, you're never getting out of Moto 2. And unfortunately, that's where these guys are at. You know, I know there's been some rumors that Jake Dixon might move up to GP. If I had a choice between Jake Dixon and somebody else, I guess somebody else, man. I don't want a guy who's been in the series this long. He's going to come with baggage. When you've been around that long in the paddock, they also know your bad habits. They know if you're a pain in the ass, because guess what? Management has been talking to people. They see how you act. And most of these guys ain't that bright. So they'll do dumb shit in the paddock, not realizing somebody's always watching. And that's what I tell all the riders here. Hey, when you're in the paddock, you got to be very cognitive of what you say and when you say it, because you never know who's watching. You never know who that guy in that baseball cap that just heard you say some dumb shit to your mechanic or to your team owner is. That might have been your next employer. Now he's not your next employer. So I think that a lot of these guys are going to move up, and a lot of these guys are Moto 2 for life.
I 100% agree with Lewis. I mean, if you're not out of there within a couple of years, you there for life. I mean, we even forget about one person that's been there for the since dawn of age, you know, and he went over there by luck, and that's Joe Roberts. He went over there and still there in Moto 2. Yeah. You know?
Finished
so 7th. Yeah. And he was so mad because he wanted that track house. And he like, dude, you're not getting it.
Currently sitting in 17th place, 91 points behind the leader. 16 other dudes in front of him. And let's see. Izan Guevara, rookie. Alonso, I think his second year in Moto 2. Arbolino, rookie. Eldago, rookie.
Yeah.
Arenas, I think second year in Moto 2. Salek, second or third year. Lopez, first or second year. Like, come on, man. You've been in Moto2 so long that they changed tire manufacturers twice on your ass.
Yeah.
And you're talking about I'm going to GP. No, you ain't.
No, you ain't. You're going to GP to go watch.
Yeah. You got tickets.
You're going to be a spectator.
You got tickets.
I feel bad for those guys. I think, when Aleix went to Aprilia, I think they may have had opportunities, but they didn't want to go to a bad bike, which I think is unfortunate.
Let me tell you, a bad bike in MotoGP is better than the best bike in Moto2.
Right.
Because at least you in the show. And if you act right and people know that it's a bad bike, they're not going to necessarily hold it against you too much. I mean, look at Jack Miller. He's been on every bike in the paddock.
He has.
Still made a long career out of it.
Right. And talking about going to World Superbike, I mean, he's one of the fan favorites too.
Yeah,
he says what he wants, but he's.
Yeah, I think he'll be like Petrucci going over. He'll be well received and liked everywhere he go. And it is what it is. I mean, MotoGP is cutthroat, and I know he had the opportunity to stay with Ducati for another year, but he wanted a 2-year contract versus a 1 year. And he was able to stay in MotoGP for 4 more years after Ducati. You know what I mean? 2 years with KTM, 2 years with Yamaha. I think it's 2 years with Yamaha, right? Or is it a 1 year deal?
It's a 1 year deal.
One year deal.
Okay, so that's still pretty good. 3 years after the fact. Now Joe Roberts was hurt, and so is this just a fluke? He finished 7th. I mean, and I think he was down in like 17th place or something like that. Do you think he's just a fluke because he was just hurt and now he's getting better, or is this more one of his favorite tracks? I believe he won at Aragon before.
How long did it take you to get better?
I mean, it depends, man. I mean, depends on the injury and the age, man.
Yeah, I got the screw in my hand. It took me like a year and a half.
Okay, so you said it best, right? What did you just say? What was the key word? But what was the key word? Age.
Well, yeah, there's that. But, the physio, as they say, the right people, man, you doing backflips the next day.
Yeah, you're going to do a backflip right back on that Moto 2.
Listen, man, Rossi broke his leg in 2 places, and 2 weeks later he came back racing. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
I mean, Jake is about to be knocking on 30 years old soon, and nobody's looking for 30-year-old MotoGP rookies, man.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, at this point, Jake should be either trying to get on a better team because he is on a good team, but this team has been in MotoGP a long time, and it has not been able to perform on a regular basis at a high level. If you look at all the riders that have ridden for this team before it changed management and everything else, like they have not been consistently at a high level for a very, very long time. I mean, they had what I consider the best superbike rider that the U.S. has ever put out, Cameron Beaubier. And he could not string together 2 top 10s to save his life. And that dude knows how to ride.
You're talking about Joe Roberts, not Jake.
No, I'm talking about Cameron Beaubier. He was on this team before it was changed into the OnlyFans.
Oh, gotcha. Right. Yeah.
So this team has been there for a long time. Joe Roberts has been there for a long time, and he's kind of stayed with it. But at this point, Joe Roberts either needs to look for another Moto2 team that can give him an opportunity to get further up to the front on a regular basis, or he's got to look towards World Superbike.
Honestly, you need to look toward World Superbike. He's getting to that point of age where I always look at World Superbike. It's like the old guys go and they go race. I mean, but
is the pasture, is the retirement
right?
But it's the retirement pasture. You can make money. Like Bautista has made a really good career out of going over to World Superbike. Right. His career was done and dusted here in MotoGP, and he went over there. And he's what, like on the 8th year now? 7th or 8th year?
Something like that.
And on a top tier bike.
On a top tier bike, making top tier money for 7 more years versus languishing in 17th place with 15, 12-year-olds in front of you. Right. Nah, man, I'll go to World Superbike.
Yeah. But younger riders are coming over. Bulaga came over, Remy came over, Ikaluka came over. There's some young riders coming over, so that the older riders coming over is that's not happening as much. I mean, Petrucci was one of the older one, and before that was Bautista. I mean, Redden, I guess he's been in GP a while, but he wasn't as old when he came over. Yeah, well, he was just out of the league altogether. That's a lifeline. I don't know who he has photos of because I don't know how. There's a lot of riders that's like, yo, bro, how you here and we can't get it. So
I was a drug addict.
Yeah,
he got some Diddy videos on somebody.
He got something, man. He got something on them. So as far as even being older, it's not as easy anymore because, as you mentioned, these Moto2 guys now getting, not making it to MotoGP. So, the Jack Millers of the world, we may not see this in 6 years because we may just see people from Moto2 just continue to go over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, man. Like at what point are they going to just have superstars, young superstars on all the entire grid? I don't know if it can work like that too, man, because there's a set level of maturity that comes with some of these riders that you can't get from a young rider. And maturity is, I'm talking all sorts of maturity, right? Like just rider, IQ, everything that comes with it. I feel like they're always going to have those test rider guys and those guys that are more mature. And then they're cheaper, man. Some of these guys are going to be cheaper if they're older and they have that GP caliber.
Or younger, cheaper too, young, because you're 21. Pedro Acosta's contract got to be cheaper than Pecco's.
Maybe, but it's Acosta.
Quartararo.
It's Acosta. Everybody's been pulling him in every direction right now. So
and he had that KTM 6-year deal, probably something like that.
Right. I'll tell you, whatever happens after when he gets freed up, that he's not going to be cheap anymore.
So they got him once.
The crazy part is Pedro Acosta's deal just says multi-year contract. It's like it doesn't say how many years. It could be 800 years. Like, why is there no end date to this multi-year contract?
Does he have Martin's performance stipulation in there?
He's not the same contract Flavor Flav signed, which was like 25-year contract. It's like what?
Got a multi-year deal on that.
In MotoGP, I would say it's like Home Depot, man. You need one of every kind of light bulb. You need the really good high-end light bulbs, you need the medium light bulbs, and you need the cheaper light bulbs. And eventually, the cheaper light bulb might become the medium light bulb, and the medium light bulb might become the high-end light bulb. Nobody comes in as the super high-end light bulb. That's why there's an entire aisle of light bulbs at Home Depot. You got your cheapies, your middles, and your tops. And that's how MotoGP always has to be. Like, you're not going to get rookies. The day of the alien rookies that come in and dominate from day one, that's done and dusted.
That's over. That's over.
Marquez There's no aliens left.
Alien.
Yeah, but Marquez and Quartararo, I think, are the two last aliens.
No, this is the biggest mystery I have right now. Who allowed Somkiat Chantra into MotoGP? Because Honda. I went to go look up his record even before this, and it's like, how?
Yeah. Honda.
Well, because Honda, they need one Japanese rider.
One Asian rider.
They need one.
That's what it came down to, right. Because he doesn't even have the strongest relationship with Honda.
Yeah.
It was on.
No, they wanted Ayaguro, but Ayaguro went to Aprilia, so.
Yep.
And, you need one Japanese, one Asian guy on there, whatever it is.
If you do a rewind, like Honda's always try to have at least one Asian rider on a satellite bike at some point.
Yeah,
because they're a Japanese brand and they want to have for branding at least one Japanese rider.
Yep.
That's what they say all the time over there, Yamaha. It's like the Japanese is old school. They believe if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're very slow on their progress. And they believe in their old ways. They won't break their ways. But
imagine that call when he woke up that day, like, hey, we want to bring you on a MotoGP bike and also give you like $3 million. Like, really?
Nah, they ain't give. Trust me, he got the league minimum. He got the league minimum.
They're giving him the
500,000.
I don't even think he getting that, man. He might be at like $180.
Yeah,
but we'll give you like 200,000.
We give you like 200,000 and all these performance bonuses that you're never gonna meet.
Performance bonuses, right?
And go get a good suit and helmet contract to try to make like 300,000.
His performance bonuses is how much he shows up because he's going to be a rock star in Thailand, in anywhere over in Europe. I mean, Asia where he's at, he's going to be a rock sar. So
apparel bonus.
Yeah, we saw that at first round. So which is, what are you going to do? It's a global sport, man.
Yeah. It's a global sport, and you have to try to appeal to every part of the globe except the U.S.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna go watch it regardless, even if there's no American in it, because we have so much of a melting pot here that we have fans that are gonna be fans of other people. But when you go to Asia, like they want to see at least one Asian.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's it. And they're making a lot of money. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for coming on tonight. Aragon was crazy. We'll can talk next week about what's going to happen at Mugello. I think it's going to be Ducati. But we'll talk about it next week.
just give it up on your boy Pekka, man. Just give it up. Just give it up.
He said Ducati. He didn't say Pecco was one of those Ducatis.
No, he didn't. He did not say that.
Lawyer in a different life, Lewis, huh? You're picking it up.
He's loyal to that. He's loyal to that Ducati fan. He's loyal.
Oh, definitely. Don't worry, I got a couple of Yamahas, so I got 2 Yamahas and 2 KTMs too. So I'm not. I don't discriminate. So but thanks guys for coming on, man. Peace.
Appreciate it.
Peace.